Thank you very much. I scrambled to try to find something because I had lost this on my computer. And my daughter, Julie, had to bear with me saying some really bad things about that computer. But anyway, I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about. One of them is those of you who attend the writing group at the Senior Citizen Center, Fayreen always gives us a prompt. And so this is one of my favorite prompts because it really made me realize that I could possibly write a mystery type thing. Never thought about it before. But anyway, it's called Finding the Suitcase. That's what we had to, that was our prompt. She took the suitcase and snapped the latches open to be sure that they worked properly. It was dusty, but seemed fairly serviceable. Was it too old and scruffy? The old leather was not cracked, which meant it could probably be cleaned and perhaps oiled with saddle soap to bring it back to life. When she lifted it, she noticed the metal initials discreetly placed right below the braided leather handles. She leaned closer to read them. This would certainly help make ownership more believable. Perfect. Lugging it to the old Goodwill checkout counter, she carefully counted out the $7. The clerk barely glanced at her purchase before turning to the next customer in line. Quickly, she pulled the old hat down, hiding her unusual brown eyes, which came with her reddish curly hair peeking out. Carrying the valise, she walked out into the sunshine of the brown fall afternoon, enjoying the next couple of blocks. Upon reaching the small apartment off the Paseo Boulevard in Kansas City, she immediately proceeded to clean the cloth interior with a mild detergent, then carefully applied the soft saddle soap, rubbing gently. After several applications, the suppleness of the old case came alive under her slim hands, causing the leather luster to emerge. As it sat there on the kitchen counter, it became apparent that she had made a wise choice. Now, the initials. Shaking the smelly metal cleaning agent, she wrinkled her nose and began to wipe with small round circles. Suddenly the brass shine leapt out at her. Unbelievable. Finishing her task, she stood back and admired her careful handiwork. No one would ever guess that the suitcase was not a treasured and well-traveled piece of luggage when she retrieved it from the Transair carousel in Paris, nor that the owner was almost penniless. That one kind of, thank you. That one kind of spurred me on. I was like, maybe I could write something mysterious. And then also, Fayreen has encouraged all of us to try our hand at poetry. And I can't say that I am a poet. I like to do it, and I love to listen to it, and the humor is there so much in it. But this one is called Crowd Excitement. And because we're going into the Christmas season, we will probably have to maybe even put the Christmas dinner off until one of the football games is over. But this is called Crowd Excitement. Football, football, football. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Goes the crowd, goes the crowd, goes the crowd. Quarterback goes back, goes back, goes back. Tackled. Crowd goes wild, wild, wild. Throats at full, soaring, roaring, roaring, roaring. No, no, no. Hands lose the ball, both sides. Pile on, legs and arms. Pigskin gone. Grab and tussle, grab and tussle. Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Got it, got it. Call. Ours, theirs. Referee signal. Inhale. Wrong. No. Then this one, James, I apologize because I think it might be just a tad long, and I really didn't realize it until I grabbed it out of the computer. But anyway, this is called The Angel's Wing, and it's about Christmas. During the last of December, the small country schoolhouse rang with laughter while we practiced for our annual Christmas play. When Miss Anna finally called for quiet, we paused to hear what she had to say about this year's selection. Smiling, the young woman said, "This year, I think we will do the Christmas story from the Bible. We will have parts for everyone to start, so start thinking about which one you want to try out for. Remember, there are wise men, shepherds, animals, and angels, so try to decide what you would like to do. If you don't want to have a speaking part, let me know, and I will be sure to fit you in somewhere." Preparations began by decorating the school. The older boys got to take a crosscut saw and trudge through the snow to get the most beautiful cedar tree they could find. Recess was a time for making decorations for the tree. The one that I loved to do was to cut strips of colored construction paper, then form them into a colorful chain that everyone put together. It stretched all around and up to the top of the tree. Aluminum was just becoming an item, and everyone saved it from their gum wrappers and other means, and it was formed into silver balls. Popcorn was also strung together to form lines, draped and put in waves on the tree. It was beautiful with the aluminum star made by hand as well. Miss Anna was a new teacher who had graduated just a few years from a nearby teacher's college. This was her first teaching assignment, and her enthusiasm and exuberance for her job was boundless. She had brought excitement to us all with all kinds of fresh ideas, such as the treasure hunts in the spring with maps, steps in certain directions, landmarks such as the hole in the hollow tree where she slipped hints before finding the final prize, a silver dollar, buried in just the exact spot after all the directions, plus a large bag of candy for everyone to share. At Easter, we had a huge Easter egg hunt, unusual in that each of us would have a special nest with our name placed in it. No one was allowed to tell you where it was located, as they could only pass it up and move on to the next one until they found their own. All of us had labored over coloring eggs with our crayons and hard-boiled eggs brought from home. Patterns and colors sprung up on all surfaces. The excitement was contagious from the 8th graders down to my first grade level. How exciting to hunt and hunt, then spot your very own nest with your beautiful colored eggs nestled in a green grass nest. Miss Anna was not someone that allowed the older children to take advantage of the younger ones. She was a firm disciplinarian, and we quickly found out what she said is what she meant. Our schoolhouse was just one large room with chalkboards across the front wall, Miss Anna's desk in front, then single or double desks spread out around a pot-bellied stove for warmth in the winter. An outdoor pump supplied our water in a water bucket at the back of the room. It was considered an honor to fill the bucket each morning and erase the blackboard at night. 2 outdoor facilities marked boys and girls was reached down a well-trod path. The flagpole was pledged each morning, and the red, white, and blue taken down before we went home for the day. I shared a desk with my older sister, Nola. She was 4 years older than I. 2 of her best friends were Nellie and Rosetta, our cousins. They were all the same age. I was the least one in the whole group of children. My parents just lived up a small hill on the gravel road where the schoolhouse stood. When I was old enough to understand school, I begged to go visit. Miss Anna gave her consent, as a lot of the children sometimes brought their younger siblings. Well, this was a big mistake for her, as I had just turned 4 years old that June summer. So when I visited, I fell in love with the whole concept of chalk, writing, reading, and recess. I threw a major fit the next day and refused to take no for an answer. I wanted to go to school now. Miss Anna had a generous heart and told my parents that it was all right for me to come to school every day. She was one of our neighbors and lived about 3 or 4 miles across the several farms from the school. She walked to school, rain or shine, each morning, and during the Missouri winters slogged through mud and snow. Along the way, students joined her. Most of the children who attended this school district were poor folks with a lot of children. Miss Anna brought her lunch every day, as did the rest of us. She would bring extra cookies some of the time, but the most enjoyable treat would be a couple of large oranges that she would share. She taught us that we could eat the white inside fiber from the peelings, and it was good, too. Those oranges were a wonderful treat, and we loved the slices she handed out to us. The juice would just squirt out and fill your mouth with the best citrus taste. During this period, back in the mid-40s, times were tough as World War II had just ended and rationing was coming to an end. Oranges are something that we only got at Christmas time in our sack of candy that was handed out after the Christmas program by none other than Santa Claus. Then, time for assigning parts for the Christmas play came around. Several of the older boys got to be the shepherds, and their mothers came up with bathrobes or striped material for their wrapped heads and flowing costumes. The shepherds' crooks were cut from bent saplings that they had cut down from the woods. The wise men were there too, with gifts of myrrh, silver, and gold held reverently in their hands. Even the paper cows, sheep, and a donkey being held in small hands added to the scene. Mary was dressed in the blue robe and held the baby Jesus, quietly wrapped in swaddling cloth, later to be laid in the manger made out of a wooden box filled with hay. Joseph was dignified and quiet as he stayed close. Several of the children who could read came forward at appointed times and read different parts of the wondrous story. Everyone took their parts seriously as we sang all the songs that had made up the telling of the story. As I could not yet read, I got to be one of three angels that stood on desk, pushed together in front of the blackboard. My costume was white sheeting draped and tied at the waist with long flowing sleeves. The best part were the wings, made of heavy white paper and trimmed with gold tinseled rope, which matched the halo tied on my head. The white wings were attached to my back with straight pins. All the angels had to do was stand with their backs pressed firmly to the blackboard, surrounding the couple with the baby, and sing along with the others. I believe I may have wiggled around a little bit to see the baby Jesus better, because all at once my left wing started to slowly go down my arm. I pushed back as hard as I could to keep it from falling, but had to lean just a little to my left. Tilting alarmingly, nothing seemed to help as my body slowly followed the slipping wing. This caused the other two angels to look at me with frowns and whispers of alarm as they shakily managed to stay upright. Thankfully, Silent Night began, and I knew relief was in sight, as that was the grand finale. Would you believe they sang all three verses? My mind was in a twitter as I distinctly heard a slight murmur of laughter sailing out over Joseph and his little group. Then the applause crashed all around us, and it was over. The least one of the angels finally could let her wing fall, fluttering to the old oak tree. Miss Anna came and helped me down from the desk and managed to whisper, "You are the best angel of all." What joy filled my small heart as, red-faced, I gathered up my fallen wing and headed into the surging actors and audiences. I looked back to see if the other two angels were all right. They were basking in praise, and they were smiling. They seemed to have forgotten my disgrace. After the program, while the parents were proudly telling us what a great job we had done, in the midst and the distance, we suddenly heard sleigh bells ringing, jingling, coming closer and closer. Then through the door burst this incredible man in the red and white fur-trimmed suit with a gunny sack slung over his back and doing the ho-ho-ho sounds. The hush as he entered turned into a rush forward by the brave, or hanging back bashful and shy like me. It was scary and wonderful to even come near this wonderful apparition. He sat down on a chair and started handing out the sacks of candy with our name on it. I was afraid that maybe I had not been good enough and would not get one after losing my angel wing. But then he called my name, and I let go of my sister Nola's hand and humbly, thankfully went forward. He asked me if I had been a good little girl this year, and I tried with all my heart to tell the truth at that moment, but was a little hard to meet his eyes, as I knew of an incident that probably did not qualify me. When he thrust my own pack of goodies into my hand, I realized that he apparently did not know my sordid past. The colorful hard candy was interspersed with peanut brittle, chocolate-covered vanilla humps, and the precious orange right at the bottom. The smell of all that combination was wonderful. All of the children were milling around or hugging their gifts tightly, even the least ones like my little sister Phyllis, who was only 2.5 years old and had no idea of what was going on. What a thrill to see this man in all of his suited-up glory. But way too soon he picked up his empty sack and ho-ho-hoed out the door, ringing his bells and disappearing into the night. It was a little hard to hear the reindeer with all the noise. We didn't have a chimney, but I already felt certain that he would find my house and would leave something for me and my sisters, especially a doll for Phyllis. The memories of that small schoolhouse and the 10 to 15 children that attended remained fixed in my mind, and just the smell of a cedar tree or the peeling of an orange can instantly bring them surging back, even at the age of 73.